everybody. Welcome to another WTF Wednesday. Have you ever felt like you were talking to yourself? I apparently just was for the last 5 or 6 minutes, not realizing I wasn't recording and just going on and on and on. And then all of a sudden the camera shut off due to lack of activity, and I realized that I'd been talking for quite some time and not being recorded. So, what you gonna do? I've been under the weather for the last 8 days. Today was actually a day at some point, and you know, it's funny when you've been sick for a long time, you have that moment where you suddenly can feel that you are getting better. You know, you've been miserable for days and days and days, and suddenly, like a little switch, you feel a little better, and you're like, holy shit, oh my God, well, that happened today, so I'm pretty happy about that. The only thing about that is I went from being miserable to being annoyed, and that's made me a little salty today. So now I'm annoyed that I've been sick this long. I'm no longer terribly miserable. But being that I'm annoyed and have been actually thinking about this as well, the WTF in my WTF Wednesdays, what does that really mean? And for me, I've decided permanent definition means whatever the fuck I want to talk about. So that's what we're going to do tonight, whatever the fuck I want. And we're going to start out with our vocabulary words. And we're going to follow that up with a discussion on LiFi. Now, we all know what Wi-Fi is. It's the radio signals for our wireless modems in our house and things like that. Well, there's a new technology that's being proven to be commercially viable called LiFi. We're going to go over that and discuss some pros and cons and how it may impact our lives coming up in the future. But without further ado, let's start with our vocabulary words. Our first word of the night is hibernating. This is when a friend of yours meets and starts dating a new boy or girl and suddenly drops off the face of the earth. So basically it's one of these type of people that shuns all of their friends once they start dating somebody and pay all of their attention to that person. And we all know people like that. Heteroflex. I'm going to sort of make an example of what this means using a sentence. The sentence does not necessarily apply to me, but it sort of is effective for defining this. Basically it means I'm heterosexual, but shit happens. Alright, so hotness hypnosis. That is what happens to a person when they meet or start dating somebody who is so physically attracted to them that they overlook some major character flaws in the person because they can't really see beyond the physical at the moment. Now, of course, as the relationship goes on, that will shake itself out, but yeah, hotness hypnosis, it's an early onset sort of deal. Hype aversion. Hype aversion is the rejection of an insanely popular idea, game, place, event, whatever, simply on the grounds that it's insanely popular. Husband chair. Thank God for these. This is the chair in most department stores strategically located near the women's changing rooms for the husbands to sit and do whatever other than shop or try on clothes or whatever. I've actually made use of a husband chair once for well over 2 hours while somebody who shall remain nameless shopped for a purse for 2 hours. Now, of course, this next one does not apply to me either, but it probably applies to you, so, and you know who I'm talking about. Ho, ho, ho. These are the 3 words Santa used when he walks into a room where your wife, sister, and mother are. Take that. Headphone zombie. Being the father of 2 teenagers, I have witnessed this firsthand. This is when a person who is wearing headphones becomes completely unresponsive to the outside world. And this one is, I find hysterical. I need to try this, but this is what you do to somebody who is in breach of most organizational security codes and walked off and left their computer unlocked. And this action is called Hasselhoffing. This is the act of changing the background picture of their computer screen desktop to the manly physique of David Hasselhoff. Of course, I think I know probably a few women who might like it, but maybe a few men too. Hey, we can't be non-inclusive, can we? Anyway, that's it for my words for the night. Now we're going to have a little discussion about LiFi. And first, to start off the discussion, we're going to talk about Wi-Fi. All right, so we all have, in general, Wi-Fi in our house. It's what the cable companies, the internet providers install in your house. Once they run the internet to your house, they connect a wireless router, which then all of your wireless devices connect to. Now, not everybody's like that. I have a few, because I have a special setup for my network in my house, because I used to run a business out of here. I actually have static IP addresses, blocks of these, which I purchased from my internet provider. And so I've got a little more extensive network. But, you know, most people just have the wireless routers, and it doles out an IP address to the devices that connect to it if you have the right passcode. And you're on the internet through the airwaves. Now, connection is made over radio waves. The wireless portion of this is on the radio wave spectrum, okay? And there's some issues with this. First of all, you can only communicate at certain speeds over the wireless, the radio spectrum, but also it radiates. It radiates information, it radiates data. So it's also less secure because of that. And people can come by and be sitting outside your house, and if they can connect to your network, they can sniff all the stuff going on. You know, if you live in an apartment complex, you got Wi-Fi in your house, your neighbors, you know, if they have a way to crack your router, can get in and sniff your bank passwords and et cetera and things like that. So it's innately insecure. That's why when you get the routers from the internet provider, that you'll look on the back of the router, the passcode's like 20 characters long, because it's, you know, the more characters you add, the higher the order of magnitude of the combinations goes, and it's less likely to be cracked. Well, needless to say, it happens. So, yeah, wireless, a little slower, Wi-Fi, a little slower, a lot more insecure. But what about the next generation of things? You know, we used to communicate over phone lines using audio, you know, signals to make it simplistic. And then we went to fiber optic, and we're communicating with light. Well, the way that works is, you know, light is much more appropriate for communicating with, you know, mainly because with the radio frequencies, the signal rides on top of the radio wave and is picked up and is handled that way. But with light, it's basically a function of switching the light on and off. You know, when you're talking computer languages are based on binary information, and binary means there's two states, 0 and 1, off or on. This is based on the old transistor technology. Transistors were off or on, and what do these things do? They're switches. And when you get 8 switches that can have 8 different combinations of on and offness, you can now encode that into things and communicate it. So, quick history on communication. Now, the thing about light is, first of all, it's non-radiative, which means if you had a LiFi environment in your house, the communication can only be made within line of sight of the device doing the communicating. So, for example, if you had a LiFi transmitter in your living room, you could not use it in your bedroom because you couldn't see the light. So that's a big, you know, downfall or downside of LiFi technology. Now, one of the big upsides is it has the capabilities of communicating 100 times faster than Wi-Fi does. That's a huge order of magnitude of communication. So what's the solution? Well, the company has I say the company, there's been a lot of companies that have been working on it, but the company that just proved that it's actually commercially viable, has recommended that the possibility of little chips being placed into our light bulbs that are going to be produced in the future that actually provide the LiFi interface. And if you have one of those in every light bulb in your house, well, then you now have one in every room in your house typically, and you no longer have to worry about the line of sight issues. How expensive is this going to be? I'm not sure. How long is it going to take before the technology is viable to replace all your light bulbs and move to it? I'm not sure. How will those light bulbs connect to your internet? Because of course you've got your internet coming. How are the light bulbs connecting? Is there a relay light? And is there a LiFi connection on your internet interface? There's ways that can be done. You can communicate actually at high bandwidths over your power lines. Do we turn our power grid in our homes into a subnetwork where we transmit this between the lamps to the interface? I mean, there's a lot of different ways to solve that. I'm just not really sure, how we're going to go about doing it. But, I can see this, of course, happening in the commercial world first, where people start replacing lights in their office buildings with the properly chipped light bulbs, and voila, you are now communicating via LiFi. So, it's an interesting technology, something I'm excited to see mature. Hopefully I'll live long enough to see it just because I want to. And there you go. LiFi. Make it happen. To my descendants who are laughing at me right now, hey man, your turn's coming. You'll think some technology is really cool, and your descendants will laugh at you too. But hey, that's where we're at right now. So, enjoy it. I'm sure you will be seeing news articles about this as well. So, there you go. Thanks for joining me on a WTF Wednesday. I'm tuckered out now. I'm going to go edit this and upload it. It's already Wednesday. It's just, I've just not been on the ball since I had this little bug. So, anyway. Maybe my descendants, one of you guys, will find the cure to the flu. That'd be awesome. Please. Anyway, y'all take it easy. Have a good night. See you later.